because it's the silly, stupid, fascinating, weird, wonderful. They're my people, and more often than not, they're the geeky people as well.
But this real sense that what you do as you emerge out of Middle Earth in your real life is you hope, because Tolkien's so good at capturing that.
I mentioned Betamax. For anybody older, that's the old version of a video cassette. A video cassette is an old version of a DVD. A DVD is not set with the cloud.
And I said, I'm not happy, I've got bits wrong here. And she said, yeah, but that's all part of the learning process. That's all part of that makes it unique to you, that those kind of imperfections within it.
Welcome, folks, once again to the bargain bin of live streams and podcasts. Each week we have a good old rummage in the bin and find the wonderful, the interesting elements of geekiness, and we hold them to the light, give them a little bit of a polish, and get excited and giddy and share them with our friends. Welcome to another episode of Faith in Geekery. Good evening, my name is Mark, and this is...
Becca!
And tonight we are joined by...
Jen!
Hello.
Hello.
It feels ages since we've last been live. And
all my wires were tangled up, Mark. I couldn't find anything.
Yes, you're saying that you couldn't find things because it's been such a long time.
So long,
it's just been tidied away and put into the bag, or the rummaging of the bargain bin of all that malarkey. So it's fantastic. How are we all doing? Are we all well?
Good, thank you. Yes, this is actually my first time live.
Oh, so, it is.
Yeah.
How's it feeling so far, Jenny?
It's feeling amazing in the bargain bin. I'm loving it.
See, I would like to quibble. I would like to see us as the lucky dip of podcasts rather than the bargain bin. I feel that elevates us to a slightly better, more exciting level. Hook a duck.
You see, I'm quite a Yorkshireman, so I love the bargain bin, and I could have a good old delve around, and I'm like, this is fantastic, this is priceless. It may also be 50p.
I am a jumble sale girl at heart.
So folks, welcome back. I hope folks have endured the D&D actual play. I think we had lots of fun filming it. The audio was a little bit dubious in places. I spent a lot of time editing everyone's audio. So please acknowledge all of that. I edited it a heck of a lot.
I was listening to it today because I've done a really long drive up and down the country today, and what I concluded was we are so all used to muttering our silly jokes in meetings and stuff that actually we drop our tone. So there were people obviously in charge getting us to do the things that we needed to do, and in the background were the naughty children that the rest of us are, dropping our tone of voice. And that's what I think was happening.
And I tried to go through every single dropped voice and lift it to the same level as
that's dedication.
As Becca, Tim, and Shelby, who was near the decent mic, because it turns out one of the mics was pretty rubbish. So we've learned some lessons from that.
For next time.
We gather tonight to talk about roleplay and shadow self, but we also gather on Shrove Tuesday, so we could talk about pancakes and toppings and all the kind of stuff like that, as well as technically whilst we were away we turned 2, so we could sort of say happy birthday to Faith in Geekery as well. So we're kind of entering into our 3rd year, which sounds crazy, but good all at the same time. And I guess the first, before we kind of ask the question that we normally ask, which would be, what geekiness have you got up to? What is your go-to pancake topping, whether savoury or sweet? I'm just going to throw it out there. What do we think? And folks, do comment, do kind of, get in touch.
I have an order, if that's helpful. So I have lemon and sugar first. That's default.
I thought you meant you were ordering it. Can I please have a lemon and sugar one, please?
I have an
Chop,
order.
chop.
If you could pop over. No, I've
Yes.
already had mine. Lemon and sugar first, and then if there's something interesting like a toffee and banana and squirty cream, that might come second. But I will then go back to a lemon and sugar.
Yum.
Yeah.
It has to
This
be an odd
year-
number.
Has to be an odd number.
Interesting.
I like it. This year, it was all about the Biscoff spread for me, which was a new introduction
Nice.
into my pancake repertoire. But yeah, it's a good one because it gets really melty and a little bit drippy. It's delicious. What about you, Mark?
For me, it's strange because we tend to kind of lean into pancakes and waffles across the year. We kind of enjoy those, American and English. I realise there's been a bit of conversation on the Discord about which pancake should or shouldn't be considered on Shrove Tuesday. But I like both. But so for me, Pancake Day is an opportunity to delve into the savoury because actually, the sweet ones are often quite regular. So sometimes we'd have galettes and use the kind of proper flour. But this year we just kind of did it. Well, I say we. Becky did a whole, I think it was quadruple or like 5 times the amount of batter. So we've got kind of plenty in reserve because our children have asked for them for packed lunch for the following days. Completely bypassing the whole point of Shrove Tuesday. Anyway, but they'll be going down that route and having savoury pancakes. But for me, it's kind of like ham, it's cheese, it's egg, like a fried egg in there. It's mushroom, and it's kind of
Runny yolk in your.
I actually had semi-runny yolk tonight, and I was grateful for it because it just exploded everywhere, and I wanted to mop it up because I still use the same plate for my sweet as well. You see.
Yes.
So
That's what's quite good about pancakes, though, isn't it? They're a good mopper-upper.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing. That sounds epic.
Yes. Sorry for anybody who's not had their pancakes yet or hasn't been able to. Just drooling.
If you're listening to this later in the week and you're just hungry. Tim A says, I'm a fan of streaky bacon and maple syrup, but I'm tempted to try UK, or as we call them, roly pancakes, as a savoury breakfast burrito.
Roly pancakes.
Roly
Nice.
pancakes. Stacky pancakes or fluffy pancakes and roly
I love
pancakes.
What is the difference between a pancake and an oat cake?
Oats.
Oh, yeah, oats.
Just pure oats. One is porridge based.
I know that
one is a little like porridge.
I know that kind of a common
Fried
thing
porridge.
now. I know a common one now is like the Yorkshire pudding burrito, isn't it? That's quite a recent thing.
Yeah.
But
Tell
for
me
me,
more.
I mean, basically, you make a really large Yorkshire pudding and you wrap things in it. And so in York, on the streets of York, there was actually a I can't remember. It's like the Yorkshire Pudding Company or something like that, where they do
Have
kind of
roast,
like a
is it
burrito.
roast dinner in it, or is it?
Yeah, it was like roast
Mexican?
beef with gravy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's like Yorkshire
it's a
tapas
whole
as well.
roast, isn't it?
Can we
Yeah.
have a Faith and Geekery road trip to York, please?
Yes, we
Tomorrow.
can. Yes.
I mean, I don't mind just actually making them and showing them to see what we can kind of do.
Even better.
Okay. I like
but,
that Yorkshire pudding challenge.
Shall we segue on to what kind of geekiness that we've been up to in the last since we last met, really. But if we can't remember that far back, it can just be since the last week. I actually bought early this week a silicone base for my Yorkshire puddings. So I was quite geekiness about that.
Hang on a second.
Yeah.
What is this?
Nice.
But surely a successful Yorkshire pudding is done in a very, very hot metal tin in order to get the.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I put in a lot of oil into the silicone and then put the batter in, and it pretty much boiled over. And I didn't quite perfect the art of using the silicone because I basically had like a tray full of oil with the silicone and with the Yorkshire puddings, but I didn't have any of the hassle of getting the Yorkshire puddings out because I have killed muffin trays or Yorkshire pudding trays in the past. So I explored just silicone for the first time. So I'm going to continue to give that a go. But go on.
I was going to ask you whose recipe you use, because in my book there is only one perfect recipe, and that is St. Delia.
Oh no, I would say Biro cookbook, 2 eggs, and then you kind of have half a pint of milk and 4 ounces of flour.
See, after 20 years of making in my own house pancakes, Yorkshire puddings, I still look at the Delia recipe every single time.
Every time.
Every time. Yeah,
Add a
I can't
sprinkling
remember it.
of mustard powder as well, just to
This
zhuzh
year,
it up.
Ed, this year my son Ed baked the. What do you do? Do you cook it? Do you bake it? Cook it, right?
Ooh,
Oh.
Ooh, don't know.
Wow.
Ooh.
Oh,
Something.
Cook,
You do something with them.
bake.
you roast it. I don't know, because it's
Roast
your
them?
roast. It's your roast dinner, isn't it?
Ooh.
I think you've just broken faith in geekery there, Jen.
Sorry. Anyway, Ed did it.
Answers
Ed
on a
did it.
postcard.
And he did very well. Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, well
Don't
done,
know.
Ed.
Oh, brilliant.
I think
yeah.
that is
got a
one of those
cracking
fundamental
video.
things to teach to children. Make Yorkshire pudding.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Bechamel sauce, Yorkshire pudding, red sauce.
Yes.
Tim A has just also put, I'm currently packing as we're moving this week, finding all the old D&D notebooks.
See, I was waiting for Tim to
Nice.
tell us the answer of what we're actually how we're cooking our Yorkshire puddings, but no, he's on one track today. He won't be swayed from his focus.
What geekiness have we been up to?
You'll be pleased to know that I successfully performed Hercules. I'm trying
brilliant.
to get my segment in, because the others aren't necessarily worth watching or something that I want to share with other people. However, I was really, really pleased with it. The timing, because the timings are so precise, that hitting the nail on the music, on the beat, with all the other things that I'm doing and the things that I don't have control of, it had the feel of Hercules, and that's exactly what I wanted to do. So I will, as soon as I can, get it onto the Discord. Here's your plug, people. If you are not in our Discord group, please join it, and you can see Hercules. But otherwise, I've been doing crafty things for work. It's how I get my geekiness into my day job, where I've been getting people to do mosaics with me, because we've been searching for treasure in the community around us, and so we've been doing a bit of mosaic, which I am failing at the moment. So if anyone does little mosaics at home and they want to help me out on the best way to do tiny pieces onto a flat, what is it? What's the board? It's not chipboard, MDF board. Please do send me a message, because I am failing a little bit.
Cool. Very
Sounds
cool.
amazing, though.
Jen?
I'm continuing to, I put it on Discord a week or so ago, completely geek out over Disney theme park stuff. Not just Disney as well, because Universal in America, in Florida, are opening a whole huge new set of lands this year. So there's a lot of excitement around that, and that is just it's such a release from day-to-day stress when I pop on, this is the latest from Disney. It's such a wonderful moment of relief for me. So yeah, that's what I've been doing.
I think we might actually have a picture on the Geeky Gallery where you shared about that. For me, I've got to put my hand up, and I don't want to you're going to get really bored of me saying about this, but we went to Egypt, so that was pretty cool.
That did look amazing.
And the geekiness for me is I actually took my Dungeon Master's guide for D&D, and I found the bit with the scarab beetle, and I had that and I have shared it on the Discord, where basically I'm reading this in the kind of with the backdrop of the pyramids, which is just for me was just like it is ridiculous.
The fact
it
that
is
you
completely
planned
ridiculous. Completely and utterly.
That's how dedicated we are, people,
Yes.
to Faith and Geekery. You even go on holiday.
I was reading the Dungeon Master playbook as well, a guide as I went on my holiday from time to time.
Is it the new one? Is it the updated one? Ooh, okay, exciting.
So yeah, it's but that was really fantastic, and just the opportunity to go around Egypt and to do all of the sites and the tourist stuff. I never thought I'd do that. Very humbled by a family member who paid for us to do that, and really, really good. But it's just the layers of history which I couldn't get my head around, and so you have kind of Alexander the Great kind of saying, "Oh, I like these pyramids; these are fantastic. What do you do about your king? Oh, your kings do these, do they? Well, in that case, then let me kind of put a sanctuary in one of these pyramids because I'm also important, And it's just like these layers of ancient history with kind of history, and then you have like Napoleon kind of questionably shooting the nose off the Sphinx, or gun practice. Oh, Becca's been covered by a black cat.
Napoleon
came in.
And Napoleon kind of graffiti, or kind of Napoleonic kind of infantry kind of writing, or etching, graffitiing onto kind of various bits. Dare I also say kind of Christians kind of getting rid of some of the faces of previous gods, or the pharaohs and things, but also pharaohs also got rid of each other's kind of faces if they've kind of betrayed each other, so they do that as well. So lots of multifaceted nature, and also the fact that we kind of went to the Coptic church, which was meant to be on the place where Jesus escaped to in Egypt. So we went down into that kind of place, which was quite cool, even if it felt a bit tokenist, but anyway. But you then have this idea that actually the pyramids were already there for 2,000 years by the time Jesus got there. And so did Jesus as a kid play on the pyramids? Because they were already.
I've never thought of that.
Well, exactly. This is it.
Oh wow!
Oh my gosh, that is like mind blowing.
Yeah. So it's
how old was he? How old is he said to have been when they left Egypt? Do we know that?
Oh, well, he went to the temple for
when he was 12. Yeah.
Yeah. So somewhere in between.
Under 12.
Yeah.
Less than 12. More than
we like to be.
Yes. More than 2, because the kings came as the toddler. To the house, it says. The Magi came to the house.
Yes.
Blimey. Anyway,
well, this is the nature of
Geekery. Jenny, we've gone down yet another cul-de-sac. It's all you. No, I think that was my fault. I think that was my fault. That was my fault. Shall we move on?
Yes, let's.
Let's go to the news.
This is the Faith in Geekery news, broadcast to your home and around the world.
So we have a few little shots on screen for those listening on podcast. I want to start off by kind of saying a couple of tragic deaths, or a few tragic deaths, of Gene Hackman and his wife, Michelle Trachtenberg, known from Buffy fame, and also Jack Vetriano, who is known for the painting of the Singing Butler. I think that used to be in our student digs, I think, Jen, at one point or other. So there's kind of those people have passed away, which again, it just feels a bit tragic, especially Michelle Trachtenberg and Gene Hackman, and the mystery of that. Still to unfold, but then there's also kind of the Brits and the Oscars that have taken place, and just kind of got a little screen share there of Zoe Saldana. My grandmother came to this country in 1961. I'm a proud child of an immigrant parent with dreams and dignity and hard-working hands, and I'm the first American Dominican origin to accept the Academy Award, and I know I'll not be the last. I just wanted to have that in there because I thought that was quite profound and poignant.
I feel like the Oscars and the Grammys and the Brits this year have been particularly important for people using their platform to talk about things like that.
Yeah, definitely. And then there's also the Doctor Who trailer that has kind of come out, which is very exciting. And that's also good. And there's also an element to that with Tim Cummings, but going to be, is it Mr. Dingaling, which is the cartoon character there on shot. There's Andor coming out next month, as well as Foundation on Apple TV has been is kind of gathering together for another series, and there's the first shot of Nicholas Galzantine as He-Man. So you just got a picture of the iconic sword and peck, as well as who did it? And peck. Yes,
the important bits,
really.
Yeah,
I feel armpits are drastically underrepresented represented on our movie posters, but now He-Man has made up for it in one.
And then there's also lots of Marvel Studio things coming up. So March the 4th. Oh, is that today? March the 4th. Daredevil, Born Again, Thunderbolts in May, Ironheart in June, Fantastic Four in July, Eyes of Wakanda in August, and I can't read that. Marvel Zombies in October and Wonder Man in December. And so there's just a whole host of things coming.
Is Pedro Pascal in Fantastic Four?
Yeah, he's Mr. Fantastic.
Now I'm interested.
Oh, sorry. I said, did I say the wrong Cummings? Alan Cummings. I can't even remember who said.
I thought that was somebody we knew.
Who did I say?
Alan, you said Tim. But yeah.
I always default to Tim. Default.
If in doubt, say Tim.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. No, Alan,
apologies.
he's very funny, isn't he? Yes.
Yeah. So, so that is the news. Is there anything exciting or mysterious about these things?
No.
I'll take that as a no. Okay.
No. I'm stuck.
I'm a bit overwhelmed by the amount of Marveliness.
It's a lot of Marvel.
I love Marvel, but when it comes in that quick succession, I don't know.
It's a machine. They're churning it out, aren't they? And sometimes they nail it, and sometimes not.
Yeah.
I'm still stuck on Severance at the moment, so I'm
haven't watched it yet.
It's on my list. Draw me out into anything else.
Let's get rid of the geeky news, and let's talk about Severance because amazing.
Oh my gosh, Becca!
Becca. I know the name. I've heard everyone talk about it. Tell me why I should watch it.
Do you want to do the honours, Jen?
Because it is about this awesome mystery story. So if you're into mystery, if you're into thriller, if you're into kind of edge of your seat drama, it's about that. But it's also got people in it that are very interesting, and the character dynamic is really interesting. So if you're interested in kind of character development and story, it's got a lot of that, except each actor plays two distinct characters, because the idea is that when you're at work, you have your work memories, and as soon as you leave work, this isn't a spoiler. If you've watched like a trailer for it, they tell you this. Okay. When you leave work, you retain none of those memories, which develops what they refer to as an innie and an outie world. And it's about the interaction between the two, but also in terms of what we're speaking about today, incredibly pertinent about what does it mean to be a person.
A bit like Doll's House. Do you remember Doll's House? It was same director that did Firefly. It was another one that was cut short, but they essentially get a character to be, and then when they come out of that character, it's really good.
That sounds good. I'm writing that down.
Same girl that does River Song, not River Song, that's Doctor Who. Same girl that does River in Firefly is in Dollhouse. It is really cool.
Yeah, the old Severance, is that whole kind of. It's a very conspiratorial. It feels kind of 1950s.
What do I watch it on?
Apple TV. But it isn't 1950s, because there's a whole bunch of stuff that shows you it's not. But at the same time, it's got a 70s vibe. It's got a 50s vibe, and I think the whole setup of it is meant to make you feel not quite comfortable at every point. It just feels a little bit uncomfortable, and it's brilliant. I love it. It's so good.
I think we need to move on before we lose ourselves.
I could talk about
no. I am also excited. I am to blame for this too. So shall we move on to the quiz?
The quiz.
I got questions. The quiz.
I love the fact, Becca, that you kind of default to the high pitched one.
Do the old one.
You know, the old one that we all hated. Can't help it.
Just love it. We miss it, but we don't, because Andy's new one is brilliant. I love it. I love it. Yes,
makes me happy every time.
We have a pondering Tim, who's I'm sure is going to ask us if we have our paper and pens at the ready, and this feels very strange as well, because we actually have then Tim A also commenting on things here as well. Joss Whedon is that director.
Joss Whedon,
Oh, it's not currently available.
Oh, that's sad.
There we go. Maybe Faith and Geekery could actually campaign for something really real and
bring
meaningful,
it back.
and that's it.
Doll's House. Cool.
Doll's House.
Over to Tim in the recorded version.
recorded, Tim.
Pancakes.
Oh,
Welcome
good.
to this, the Faith in Geekery quiz for Pancake Day. Now, Mark has probably told you all that needs to know about this quiz. Even my name, for I am Tim, and I am today's quiz master.
Some call me
So
Tim
you know the rules,
Enchanter.
you know how this works. In a rarity for a quiz put together by me, Tim Allen, the quiz master, we will have 5 questions, and those 5 questions will give you 5 points. There are no bonus points. This is a
Boo to
rarity.
you,
So
Tim.
Oh no.
5 questions, 5 points on this Pancake Day. So pens, pencils, and pancakes at the ready. Let's get going with question number 1. In what year did the inspiration for the first Pancake Day race occur? 1445,
Nope.
1545, 1645, or 1745? In what year did the inspiration for the first Pancake Day race occur? 1445, 1545, 1645, or 1745?
I'm going to pause it there. Are we okay? I was a little bit kind of, what's the word? Caught off guard by talking about racing rather than just pancakes.
Just pancakes
I was like,
generally.
I don't think I've talked about pancake racing since I was about like 7, 8.
Yeah, I've worked in care homes. We've actually done pancake races.
Fair enough.
Actual pancake race.
So I've
is
just
it
taken-
where you is it like an egg and spoon race but with pancakes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or do you have to keep on flipping?
And flip them as you
Oh,
go.
okay. Yeah, I've definitely done
Yeah.
that. Yeah, for sure.
That's cool. I'm really glad that it was multiple choice though. So thank
Yes,
you,
me
thank
too.
you, Tim.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you,
Next
Tim. We
question,
love
I
you.
think. I don't know when he's paused and when he's just standing very still. I think he's there. He is.
There we go.
Question number 2. Which of the following rules is not an official rule for a pancake race as held by the International Pancake Day race between Olney, Buckinghamshire
See?
and Liverpool,
Official.
Kansas? Which of the following rules
No idea.
is not an official rule for a Pancake Day race
not.
as used by the International Pancake Day race between Olney, Buckinghamshire and Liverpool, Kansas? Your options are: A, the race is 415 yards, 379 meters, in length. You must use a standard cast iron frying pan.
Oh, that's heavy.
C, you must wear an apron and scarf. D, you must toss from start until completion. Those options again. A, the race is 415 yards or 379 meters in length.
That's
B,
very
you
specific.
must
It
use
is, isn't it?
a standard cast iron frying pan. C,
I feel for it
you
to be
must wear
traditional.
an apron and scarf.
I know
D,
what I'm writing down.
you must toss from start until completion.
That's
Unnecessary, Tim.
That's what she
Unnecessary.
said. Yeah.
Do we need to pause for that? Are we just happy to run with that?
Yeah,
Should
no,
we
I
just-
think, that was good. Onwards.
I'm still completely lost. I
No, he's
suspect I'm
moving.
going to score low.
Question number 3. This is going to be controversial, I'm sure. Becca and Mark
Because the other
will
ones
have
weren't.
comments about this.
Jenny
According to
will
a
remain
YouGov poll,
commentless.
what is the most popular topping or topping for a pancake?
What is the top topping?
According to a YouGov poll, what is the most popular topping or topping for a pancake?
Oh, you see, I've got into the habit
Oh,
that
well,
you...
there's no multiple choice.
Yeah,
okay.
Oh,
Okay.
hang on.
Oh,
3. Okay.
what is the topping?
Yeah, it has to be that.
So I'm assuming you're not Googling that there, Becca.
No, I'm
Just
just.
getting aware. You go.
That's I object to those aspersions.
Now, I feel as if... I was going to say, this is it. I wasn't going to make a comment, and now I feel as if I have to, because he's kind of said that I'm likely to make a comment.
Set you up. I think Jenny
Yeah.
should make the comment. Jenny,
I will make all of the comments, definitely.
Okay, let's move on.
we can have an opinion on this. Go.
I pressed play.
I know he's moving ever
He's
so
so
slightly.
good at that.
Yeah.
Question number 4. What is the current world record for a single stack of pancakes? That is a single stack of pancakes.
I assume they're
Answer
American
in
style
feet or
pancakes.
meters. You are allowed a 4-inch or 10-centimeter grace space. That question again. What is the current world record for a single stack of pancakes in height? Answers in feet or meters. You have a 4-inch or 10-centimeter grace space.
Oh my gosh.
And is it because if
okay.
it's English pancakes, that is very different. If it's roly-poly pancakes, that's a
Yeah,
very different,
very different.
easily stackable. But then also, they're smaller.
Would take a lot to get them tall.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. I'm assuming American fluffy style pancakes.
They're not going to have the structural integrity you need.
I assume it just means the overall height and not one that people eat in one sitting.
And then what happens to the pancakes after? I've got a lot of questions.
I know. What a waste of food if they're not eaten.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm sure. No, we'll go there. Let's go.
I'm generous sometimes.
I didn't expect that.
He's giving
And
us more
finally,
time.
question number 5.
Off you go.
What was the largest pancake by diameter to be successfully tossed? Answers in meters. You have a 2-meter grace space.
Answers in meters?
Was the largest pancake by diameter to be successfully tossed? Answers in meters, and you have a 2-meter grace space.
Gosh. Now, is that tossed as in?
Oh my goodness.
I know. That's scary, isn't it?
In a pan or.
I assume it's going to be one of those ridiculous
you
size
know,
ones.
got a whole lever archy springy massive
is it like
thing
rolled
that just...
and kind of flopped, you know?
No, that's not tossing though, surely. I mean, tossing has a specific technique.
Throw it up in the air and then
it has to surely
land
lift
on
up,
the other
leave
side.
the pan, spin in the air at least once and land,
Yeah. Oh, Tim's put wait for the fun fact after. Also, can we appreciate the way which I paused it?
Yeah, that's good. I don't think you intended that facial expression.
Press play. I'm aware that we might actually be running out of time.
Might be a hint.
Cool. 2 meters might be a hint. Yeah, I think that's what you said. 2 meters might be a hint. Was it 2 meters?
That should be enough time. You have 5 answers? Right. Let's go through those questions. Question number 1. In what year did the inspiration for the first Pancake Day race occur? The answer is 1445. And now, the nerdy history bit. This was widely acknowledged to come from the village of Olney in Buckinghamshire,
Well done,
in which
Olney.
a housewife was busy making pancakes and didn't hear the Shrovetide bell happening at the church. Rather than leave the pancake to burn and the batter to go wasted, the housewife in question got her frying pan and ran to the church for Shrovetide, tossing the pancake as it went until she arrived with a freshly cooked pancake in hand, ready to eat in the chapel. We should be doing that.
We should be doing that.
I feel we should be doing that.
And that possibly happened in 1445.
I think she also had a pan in her hand as well.
Question number 2. You can see why I didn't give you all that context. Question number 2. Which of the following rules is not an official rule for Pancake Day racing as used by the International Pancake Day race? There is no rule around frying pans. So if you answer B, frying pan, you are correct. There is no rule around frying pans.
I put about a scarf.
Race
I just didn't know.
To commemorate and honour that housewife who ran to church in 1445. You have to have a race that is 415 yards.
It's quite niche, isn't it?
379 meters in length. You must wear an apron and scarf, as that housewife did back in 1445, and you must toss from start until completion. There's no one toss and you're done. Keep that tossing going until you got to the church. Gah!
As we all do.
According to a YouGov poll, what is the most popular topping or top topping for a pancake? Controversially, and I say this controversially, it is lemon. Lemon got the highest proportion of people responding to it,
I put quite right
which
too,
was narrowly beating sugar by 2% of respondents. So if you put lemon on your pancake,
Oh,
then you are having the top topping for a pancake.
I assumed it was.
I don't
Lemon
like
and
it.
sugar.
Yeah,
So
I did
Lemon.
lemon and
that comes from
sugar.
my pancake.
And sugar.
Get in the
No
bin.
one
Yeah.
puts just lemon on their
Question
pancake.
number 4. What is the current world record for a single stack of pancakes? Answers in feet or meters. You have a 4-inch or 10-centimeter grace period. The highest stack is 3 foot 4 inches or 1.01 meters.
Well off.
So if you answered
I was
I
much
put-
more
foot
ambitious than
or
that.
3 foot
Yeah,
8,
I put 3
or
meters
you
50.
answered
I feel like I might have
6'2".
done pretty badly on the next one as well.
90 centimeters or 1.11 centimeters.
Still going.
You are correct, and that was done at Centre Parks in Sherwood.
Nice.
Fancy.
Yeah.
That's
There
close
was
to home.
This
So
was
nothing else to do there.
No.
In the Americas, in I think
Blocked
it was
the,
a
tree
pancake
off.
house. Unfortunately, the problem they had is they had too much butter in their pancakes when they did their stack, and they fell 10 centimeters short, so they could not get the world record for the highest stack because they had
Because
too
of
much
the butter.
butter in their pancakes.
There's
Always a
lesson
problem.
in
Not
that.
always a bad thing. Question number 5. What was the largest pancake by diameter to be successfully tossed you have within 2 meters? The answer was 15 meters in diameter.
Oh.
So
Oh,
you answered
cool,
13
bro.
or 17 meters. You are correct. That was a
Sheesh.
big
That's a
pancake.
big
How
pancake.
did they?
50 meters
That's a
diameter.
YouTube
Not as
search
big as
later,
it's
isn't it?
bigger than the Uncle Buck's pancakes, but
Shall we
damn.
close it there?
Pancakes
Close
there.
it there.
So, 5 questions, 5 answers, 5 points.
Right.
What did you get? Put it in the comments. If not, have a good day. And now, back to Mark, Becca, and everyone in the Faith and Geekery studio. Good night.
Thanks, Tim.
Thanks, Tim.
Can we just shout out to Tim's hair as well? Because isn't it looking
Oh,
great?
yeah, it's looking
Love that
glorious,
colour.
isn't it? Yeah.
I vastly
strong.
overestimated the height
Yeah.
of a
Yeah.
pancake stack and
And
underestimated.
yeah.
Yeah, okay. But I did get cast iron pan as the wrong one, so I'm
Yes.
pretty proud.
If someone is in Discord at the moment, can someone find the YouTube channel that shows that tossing of the pancake? Because I want to see it.
Yeah.
How did we do? Because I think I technically
one.
wrote lemon and sugar.
Well, I
didn't.
did, but I'm taking that as
Yeah,
a point.
I
Oh,
am
okay.
too.
Okay.
Otherwise, I have 0.
Nobody
Okay,
has just
then.
lemon, unless you
No,
do,
who
and I'm not.
has-
I'm not.
Yes, there's no
commenting.
judgment on Faith and Geekery about what is
icking
right
it.
or wrong.
Yeah, I
But-
didn't get.
Saying.
I hadn't clocked he was asking for just one topping, the top topping. I assumed it was like what topping, lemon and sugar, chocolate.
Yeah.
I
We're
didn't
going to
realise
get
it was
back
one
into what is a
singular.
dish, aren't we? If we don't, if we're not,
Yeah.
not too careful.
So in that case,
yeah.
then I got one as well. Then if we're going
Oh,
down that
awesome.
route,
Yeah.
fantastic.
I got
Excellent.
2.
You got
so does
2?
that
Well
make me the
done.
Well
winner?
done.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
that makes you the winner,
Thanks.
which
Thank
is
you.
all
You
wins.
get
Very
to take
affirmed.
this
Very
prize.
affirmed.
and that's all for Faith and Geekery tonight.
We've got such a small window for our tangent. You're going to have to
No,
come
no.
back.
We have at the end of the show we have 7 slides. We might go over, but let's delve into. Let's kind of try and run it as much as we like to
As
in
we
this
intended.
next bit, and it is about kind of role play and shadow self. And I think Jen, did you want to open up with a bit of
Sure.
a definition in
100%.
your explanation? Over
I
to
thought
you.
it'd be helpful to start off with what shadow self is, where it's come from, and kind of how it's used nowadays. I'm just a disclosure. I'm a trained psychotherapist, so I'm coming at this from a sort of psychology psychotherapist angle, but also I love D&D and other role-playing games. So this is something that has been of interest to me in lots of different ways. So shadow self is an idea that was originally developed by Carl Jung. I don't know if you heard of him. He was a psychoanalyst around the same time as Freud, and he developed this idea of the shadow self, that in us we have an ideal self and then we have a shadow self, this sense that our subconscious is divided into different areas, and in our ideal self what we are working towards is all of the things that we think would be the very best version of us, whether that's consciously, and often the conscious one's really positive, or subconsciously, and sometimes those ones are not so positive. This was kind of developed by a bunch of psychologists, but including Carl Rogers, who you might have come across. He developed the person-centered theory and talked about self and self-concept, that idea of self-image or ideal self, and self-concept, the projected sense of self. So I thought it would be really fun to just play a little game. If you're up for it.
Always up for a game.
Always up for a little game. Okay, so you need a piece of paper. The same paper that you use for the quiz will be absolutely fine.
Are we drawing or are we
We're
writing?
drawing and writing.
Uh-oh. Right, hang on.
And we're going to just do... This is one of those games that I do with psychotherapy clients, and it's a way of starting to explore what our self-image or our self-concept is, as opposed to our real self. So what we're going to do is we're going to do 2 circles on a piece of paper.
Okay.
Overlapping or?
Do them separately for now.
You're going to judge how round our circles are as part of your psychoanalysis?
100%. Look at mine.
Can you put 2 dots in that?
100%. There's a lot.
2 circles.
2 circles. Brilliant.
Okay.
Now, in the first circle, what you need to write is, what is it that you feel you ought to be? If I was to say to you, what is it that you should be doing? What is it that you ought to be? What is it that you need to be? What is it that you absolutely have to be? And if you didn't do or be or say these things, then you are not being the very best version of yourself. So these are the things that we, the rules that we live by, the shoulds, the oughts, the things that if we think about the very, very best version of ourselves, we need to be. Or if we think about the versions of ourselves that we really don't want to be, we have to make sure that we follow these rules in order to not be that.
How many words are we writing?
As many words as you want, as few as you want.
Oh, flipping heck, I just got attacked by a cat. Who's now off the keyboard.
Okay. So this is your self-image, this is your self-concept, this is the sense of self that is projected into the world. That
Of
in
what we
order to
think we should be.
Yeah, should be, ought to be, have to be, need to be, really, driven to be, that sense of like my ideal version of myself is this. So Jung called this our ego ideal, and this is just this is a conscious way of us trying to tap into an unconscious part of us, an unconscious part of our framework. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next one, the next circle. In this, write, and you don't have to share this with anybody, but you can if you want to. Write who you are. If you were to say, I am ... any and all words that come to mind, whether that's positive, negative, neutral, all the words that come to mind, write it in the second circle.
Even ones we don't necessarily think are true, but they're words that we kind of think about ourselves sometimes.
The thinking about ourselves sometimes words are especially important in this particular game, because that's our subconscious ideal self coming into play there. So does that make sense? That sense of these are the words, these are what I am.
I probably need a good, 2 hours and a pint and a bigger circle, if I'm honest.
And by pint you mean a pint of wine, I assume.
Other alternatives are available for those people who don't have to drink.
It's just my order.
I'm a fan of Schleer.
That has no alcohol in it, Mark. That would not do.
No, that's true.
No, absolutely. Okay, so we've got our 2 circles. We've got our self-concept or our self-image, our projected self, that sense of ego ideal. This is who we ought to be. And that it kind of teaches us a little bit about the subconscious rules and drives that we are following. In the other circle, we're going to have who we actually are. And maybe some of those things might be a bit hidden away, some things that maybe we feel a bit ashamed about. If some of the words kind of triggered that kind of, oof, don't like that about myself moment, then we're kind of getting closer to what we call incongruence. Because if we make these 2 circles a Venn diagram, which is why your question was so good before, Mark, that if you now were to draw a circle in the middle, which bits are the same and which bits are different? So the closer these two circles are overlapping, the more what we call congruent with yourself you are. The further away they are, the more incongruent you are. And incongruence, Carl Rogers says, leads to difficulties in our conscious lives. It's a subconscious feeling, and it leads to difficulties in our conscious lives. So when we're incongruent, we can often feel feelings of shame, anxiety. We feel quite limited, quite stuck. We have maybe negative thinking patterns. There might be a bit of fear, a bit of self-doubt, maybe some self-esteem stuff coming in. So this is one of those exercises that, one of those games that we do quite early on when we're trying to explore our shadow self in a therapeutic situation. So the reason why I thought that would be really interesting is because when we come to something like D&D, the thing that I found absolutely fascinating about role play is what it allows us to do with our shadow self. So for example, one of the areas of incongruence that I will have experienced in the past is I have to make sure I make other people happy. And that is absolutely a rule. I have to make, if somebody isn't happy, especially if I've caused it, that caused me deep shame. And that is due to the fact that there is a bit of incongruence going on in me. The rule is I've got to make other people happy. And that's probably because deep down somewhere, there is something that I believe about myself, which is quite negative. So if that's the rule, that can be quite difficult, especially when people aren't happy with you. So one of the things that I found about D&D, which I absolutely love, is that my character, Caldor, is a dwarf. And, you know, for those who have listened over the past couple of weeks will have met him a little bit. He does not care at all about what other people think about him.
Impulsive shooter, as I like to think of him. He went straight in there.
He does not care. And actually, he is looking for the fight. He is seeking it out. He wants to push your buttons because not only doesn't care, but he gets a bit of a hit from knowing that maybe he said or done something that has riled you up. And then he just steps away and he's like, oh, there you go. You're all riled up. Which is, for me as a person, the exact opposite of who I am, who I feel I ought to be, who I want to be. Absolutely, in my shadow self, this idea that I get to explore, okay, what would it be like if I didn't follow the rule of I have to make sure everybody else is okay? What would it look like if I didn't follow that rule? And obviously Caldor's like quite an extreme version of that, but I can take something of the I don't have to care that is actually quite, you know, enriching and quite kind of
liberating.
A lot of fun. Liberating, so liberating. Yeah.
See, I've spent a lot of time in chat rooms, and I recognise my, you know, I will always have a different character name or person name, and will never be will less regularly than I am now be thinking, how are people seeing me? So I will go in and I will be fully gregarious. I will be talkative and open and not be thinking about who doesn't feel like they're part of the conversation right now. Who should I be including? Same with doing the dance is, you know, I'm part of a community. I have my persona, but I did not hold back on being ridiculously abundant and extravagant with what I was bringing to the table. Whereas most of the time, because clearly I am very quick with words, I can say very silly things that can make people laugh. It doesn't always work. But most of the time, I am trying to make that lesser and be less so that other people aren't overwhelmed by my ability to speak very quickly and have quick thoughts and opinions. I'd never claimed that they're always right. But I am able to bring that to the table. And in chat and in my Second Life persona, I don't give a monkeys because I can absolutely be gregarious and flamboyant. And in the background of that are people going, what you've produced is excellent. Can you show me? And of course, let me show you how I do all of these different things. But actually, most of the time I am trying to just minimize that into a smaller package.
Absolutely.
Same
and I
as
think
heights,
this is
isn't it?
Absolutely. I think this is something that maybe those of us who are neuro spicy, or think they're neurospicy, or assume, or are on a journey towards understanding themselves as neurospicy, whatever stage you're up to with that, might be resonating with the idea that we have to be a different version of ourselves than we truly are, that we have to mask. We have to mask ourselves away in order to fit and understand the rules. And social rules are confusing. They're confusing for kids, they're confusing for adults, they are extra confusing for those who are neurospicy. So the idea that we have to engage with, understand the rules, internalize the rules, they become part of who we are, and therefore what we produce, what our identity is projected as, becomes this masked version of ourselves. Role play goes, okay, just take away the mask for a minute. If you are allowed to be your exact self, and nobody is going to limit that or criticize it or comment on it even, what would it look like? What if those rules were taken away in a really safe and boundaried way? Because we all need rules, don't we? Like, we can't just all be running into the middle of the road getting hit by cars, right? There needs to be rules. But if we're boundaried and safe, which is what the world of D&D gives us, it gives us this boundaried world. And it fascinates me as a person of faith that D&D has elements of spirituality in it. It absolutely fascinates me, because it means that we are exploring who we are, but we're also exploring what it means to be either people of faith or not people of faith in this world, where that is part of the created sense of identity. Yeah, I find that absolutely fascinating, especially as a person of faith, because those internalized rules that we've got that kind of prop up our self-image, our shadow self, we have a lot of, I do as a person of faith, grew up in a very conservative church that gave me a lot of rules. They gave me a lot of rules about what to do and what not to do, and breaking them felt very, very unsafe. Whereas D&D, you can go, okay, well, none of those rules exist now. None of those. So who is God if none of those rules are there? How can I express my faith if none of those rules are there? What does it look like to be, as Mark said, liberated with that? Yeah.
Can I ask, just go back a few steps really, because I just wanted a bit of clarity, and I might not be alone here. The second bubble you said about shadow self, is that something that is kind of quintessentially you, or is it sometimes in contrast to who you are, or is that just part of that conscious or unconscious decision when you're kind of portraying yourself? Can you just clarify that for me?
Absolutely.
Is the shadow self your core being that you maybe hide away from other people, or is shadow self a contrast to
that's a great question. The shadow self is anything that is not projected out into the world. So our ideal self, our kind of ego ideal, is projected into the world, and that is propped up and based around those rules of shoulds or oughts or nots. That kind of like monitoring and maintaining of self. Our shadow self is anything that is hidden away, sometimes even hidden away from us. And we can either have parts of us that we feel are quite strong in our shadow self, but we keep them away for whatever reason, or parts of us more likely that we feel quite ashamed of, and that's where the incongruence is. Because if our projected ideal self rule says you must be quiet, but our shadow self says actually I'm really noisy, then the incongruence is quite a painful, quite a shaming place to be. Yes, that's a great question. Shadow self is that sense of things that are hidden away and not allowed within us. Yeah.
That's interesting. I find that fascinating, and I think for me, I think I misunderstood the exercise a little bit, or rather, on my first attempt, all I did was do. The first one was very external things of outward things, and the second one was very much internalized thinking and the way that I process things. Completely
that's not a bad way.
The exercise.
Well, no, that's not a bad way of approaching it, because ideal self is an externalized version. It's the bit that people get to see of who we are, and it's the bit that we do a lot of negotiating around, because we have to protect it, because it is vulnerable, because we're putting it out there. This is who we are in the world, so we have to, and who we are is a nice person, right? So therefore this is what it means to be nice or kind or whatever it is. But then internally there might be a question mark over whether you're nice at all. Like, it might be. So I don't know if you've seen Inside Out, I know that you
Yeah,
are,
yeah.
Becca, because you
Yeah.
know you were Sadness at Comic-Con, but Inside Out does this really well for us, quite a entry level way, because what you see on the inside are those core emotions and then the formation of core beliefs, and that's shadow self work. So if Riley's core belief is that she's really bad, what she has to do then is try even harder at hockey. She has to like be the best at hockey because her core belief is that she's bad. So the shadow self drives the rules in the externalized way.
So then from those core beliefs, you can then either reinforce those in your play, in your otherwise. And I think this goes wider than D&D, doesn't it? This could be kind of Baldur's Gate. This could be any of these kind of computer games where you can kind of create your character from scratch, or your persona in a board game even, where you kind of go, what kind of, how am I going to play this game? And it can reinforce or contrast with those things. And I quite like that freedom for me in D&D of where I can kind of go. Interestingly though, as you were going through this exercise, I was going, yeah, actually, there are some of these traits that I still hold on to, whether it's my projected self or my... So diplomacy and otherwise. And my last character was a barbarian. I purposely wanted them to be much more outlandish and in your face. And for the first 2 sessions, she was. And then she just kind of reverted to me-ish.
That which was really interesting for me, because I started off with Caldor in our, like, it wasn't a one shot, was it? But it was like a one shot, and he was going to be this tough guy, and he was going to he was bitter, and he was, he didn't care about what anybody thought. He was just going to run in and get the job done and get out and probably offend people, because I wanted to really what would it feel like to not have to care about what people thought about you, and care about like caring for others. What if you just took that out? It was, and then within an hour or so, one of the things that he decided to do was grab hold of the fey crown because he didn't care and put it on, and then he became a fairy. And then that was a really interesting moment, because all of a sudden, all he cared about was the glitter that came out of him as he was flying over people, blessing them with glitter. So that was a really interesting reversal.
But and I think that is also this. It's this playground. It's this escapism you said earlier. I mean, or you alluded to earlier, is that D&D can be this kind of playground.
Absolutely.
Where you can take some traits and you can go, actually, this is an ideal version of me, or this is a contrast version of me, or this is the escape. Genuinely, I want to have a break from the do-gooder. I want to do this, and then you put it into a game of gaming mechanics where you roll dice, and actually you might go in with all these great intentions of going, I'm going to be the horriblest, baddest person here, and then I've rolled badly, and suddenly, and I had that my very first one, I was going to be this magnificent sorcerer, wild magic sorcerer, and I'm going to do everything, and I'm going to be fantastic, and magic is going to be my thing, and my dice rolls were just awful. Truly awful. And I had to make a decision, and I was fighting it for about, I think maybe 3 or 4 months of playing this every week and going, this is not working out how I'm meant to be. And it was only when I accepted the fact that actually this isn't how this character is developing, isn't actually how I wasn't doing it, but am I going to embrace it? And so he became much more of a bumbling character. And as soon as I accepted that, I actually enjoyed playing that character. And though it wasn't where I thought I was going to end up, I didn't start off that way, but because I kind of allowed it to be shaped by the game, it actually helped me and actually gave me more lessons to learn
100%
throughout it.
Which is shadow work, shadow therapy work. The idea is that we come to a place of self-acceptance and compassion and deepening understanding of who we are, and a sense where we can sit really comfortably with those parts of ourselves which actually previously we were ashamed of and hid away. Actually, we can, this is who I am, and that's good. I'm happy. I'm happy in my own skin. Yeah, absolutely.
I wonder if this, in terms of kind of the community we have on Discord, if there's space to have, shadow self exercises. That if
Definitely.
this, that circle exercise would be a great thing to invite people to do, because we're all exploring different ways of it's alternative storytelling at the very least,
100%.
that can allow that space.
And which characters you feel drawn to.
Yes,
like
that-
which
I was gonna
characters do
say
you
that.
feel drawn to, especially when you're thinking about computer games, like which ones do you which worlds do you feel drawn to, and what's going, like what is being kind of brought out for you there, and what would it look like to explore that? I can absolutely upload my the
Well,
notes
like in
from
I was thinking about this earlier. My Sims characters always identical personalities to avoid any conflict. And just what that says about a kind of almost pathological avoidance of conflict and discomfort, so that they just all get along. And it just means that I get really bored of The Sims.
Yeah.
But I'd rather that than the conflict that might come out if they were different personalities. But to allow myself to explore the boredom has been quite a healthy thing to notice.
I think in regards to the exercise, maybe you just be aware of those who, I mean, as in, let's not share the exercise results.
Yes, use it as a
for
tool,
an exercise,
but only share what is safe and appropriate.
I think there might be a good question there about what would you like to explore as a character. You can find the kind of the classes and the races or ancestry if you kind of do that sort of stuff, and you should be able to find those sort of things and sort of say, actually, if you could have the opportunity to play in that way, what would it be? Just for a laugh. For a laugh. We could kind of start that up. I'm aware of time, so if we've got time, we're going to go just to Geeky Gallery, if that's right. But thank you, Jen, for leading through that.
Please come back. Because,
I will.
Yes, I think we need a more regular Jenny slot.
I'd like that.
Yes.
We are going to come to the Geeky Gallery, and I think there's like 7 or 8 slides. But first of all, Mendip Nomad about his
beautiful.
Van Gogh's sunflowers look absolutely fantastic, and a little bit of kind of a process through. Then we have Specky Geek with his little painted
look at that.
patriarch in
That looks
prime
like an
shooter
exposed
position.
brain.
That's Warhammer, right?
Yes.
Is that Warhammer?
And I think Specky Geek is actually alluding to the fact that actually he put the character in quite an exposed place with an exposed brain and got a lot of shooting, got shot at an awful lot. I think they tend to hide in the shadows. A part of the conversation on Discord was Jen, here we are. You mentioned about the Disney stuff and Disney parks. Got a little bit of an escape room there, and then Seagull.
Kate Blanchett, she's Galadriel. Do you know that?
Yes,
she's Galadriel, and I'm going to go see her on the stage. I'm sitting so close, she might get like a little bit of spit on me. So if she does,
or
come
vice
back.
versa.
Oh.
Right? I'll frame it somehow and bring it along.
Oh, that sounds disgusting. Then a little bit more from Mendip, talking about kind of packing his Lego stuff away, his Christmas stuff, because he has a whole Christmas village. Then again, part of the more Warhammer, I think, in the top corner, and Chaos Marines in the bottom. And this is a little bit about me. This is my little picture of the scarab beetle with you can just see little points in the horizon.
Amazing.
But played a few other games. I actually got another game for my birthday as well as the Monster Manual. So there's now what is it? Hues and Cues, where you pick a card up and you have like a whole spectrum behind, and you've got to give one word. So you've got to pick one colour on this card, and no one else gets to see that. So I went for that vibrant pink colour, and I just kind of went Barbie, and hoped that they went in that general direction.
And did they?
And then they put one thing down, and then you have a second round where you're allowed to say 2 words. None of them are allowed to be colours, by the way. They could be kind of abstract kind of things, but I can't remember what I said in the end. I was like, I can't remember if I sort of said like bright pig or something like that, and then you put one more counter down, and then you have like a 3x3 grid that you place exactly in the middle of where your colour is. Ooh. And any of the pins that are inside there, you get points. Any outside
amazing.
Of it. So it's quite clever, but very straightforward, but very clever kind of game.
I like that.
Anyway, and then there's a couple of other games there like Uno and this weird kind of brain game or something. It's like chess, but each square has a designated space that you can do. Anyway, BCG talks about Siege of Valeria. Ben has kind of shared about liberation of Daleks, and Gog has kind of shared about Sci-Fi Con, and he was with a Vimes there as well from the Night Watch, or an officer of the Night
that
Watch.
was very cool.
All looks pretty cool, and a TARDIS as well.
TARDIS.
And that is the end of
that was
Geeky
fun.
Gallery.
That was lovely.
That was really good fun.
Well done, everybody.
Yeah, so that was a bit of a, because I think we've been away for a month, so it was been a bit of a long slog, and I think
but we
also
haven't been away because we were still
We
there
is,
anyway,
true.
weren't we? Yeah,
It's true.
playing.
It's true. Feedback regarding the D&D would be appreciated as well, if you like that sort of thing or not. If not, keep quiet. No. No, genuinely. Hope you can share.
I mean,
about
we're
that as
almost definitely going to want to do it again anyway. So if you didn't like it,
it's inevitable.
we're going to do it again.
I think we're going to do it more likely online, so we don't have any of the audio visual issues, or the audio issues especially. The Sessions era was much better in that regard. But thank you folks for tonight. It's been great to be back and see these fantastic faces and interact with yourselves, and thank you, Jenny, for what you've brought. And that's got us me pondering about characters and otherwise. Becca, over to you.
I think in relation to Jenny's true self, we are all three of us Christian, and fundamentally believe that at your very, very core, you are image of God. Perfect, wonderful, amazing, with all the potential that comes with what you might imagine God to have. So as you go about your geekiness, as you go about the world, engaging it in the way that you do because of the way your mind works, just know that you were made perfect.
Thank you.
Geek safe, lovely people. Bye.
Bye.